No? Okay, I just want to make a brief comment and just speak briefly about the events of the past few weeks that have been ignited by the death of George Floyd. This has been a very difficult time for our nation, for our community. People are angry, they're hurt, and people really want to see change. And we need to listen. I know that I am listening, and I know that we will have future conversations about what public policy looks like. And there's a desire for change, but I want to encourage us all to really seek to understand others. I think that's probably the most important thing we can do right now, is to seek to understand others' perspectives and take time to listen. And I know that no one ever wants to be fearful to walk outside of their home or feel like they're being targeted by law enforcement, solely on their color. That's not at all something that we stand for here in Placer County. And we've got a terrific law enforcement agency. Our Placer County Sheriff's Office does an excellent job in our community. And so I've asked Sheriff Bell to come on up and share with us and the community what his office has been doing in the midst of what's gone on in the last couple of weeks, as well as efforts that they take as a law enforcement organization to make sure people are treated fairly. So Sheriff Bell, if you would please come forward.
All right, well, good morning, everyone. I think I recognize everybody's eyebrows and hairlines. I'm pleased to be here this morning. Wanted to address what's going on in our country and frankly in our community. I watched, like everybody else, the events that happened on May 25th in Minneapolis with the death of Mr. George Floyd. And I think I shared the same outrage as everybody else. It was abhorrent. And it shocked my conscience, frankly, that something like that could happen in the United States of America. And I understand and respect the community's anger. I'm angry too. And I can say with some degree of authority, every peace officer that I've spoken to about this incident shares outrage and anger about what happened. We get it. We appreciate the community's anger. The response in America's cities has been greatly varied. However, we've seen some large communities that have reacted with violence. And I cannot, on one hand, I understand the anger. I cannot support violence ever. And it has happened locally as well. I can tell you, our sheriff's office, for the County of Placer, I'm the mutual aid coordinator. I received a phone call from Sacramento County Scott Jones one evening saying, we need some help. And we had already put some plans in place and lined up resources, and I can tell you for 3 out of 4 nights, we had teams consisting of Placer County deputies and some of our local police partners as well down in Sacramento, helping them maintain order and keep the lid on what was a very tense situation. 2 of those nights, we were assigned to asset protection, meaning ensuring that buildings weren't burned or looted. The other night, we were assigned to protect fire crews, because when fire crews would roll out in the community to render medical aid or put out a fire, they were sometimes met with hostility. So we were there to protect those crews and the fire apparatus as well. I can tell you, in those 3 nights, they saw peaceful protests, but they also saw some absolutely just rioters that were just there looking for trouble and creating mayhem in the community. Our teams made no arrests, had no injuries, and no use of force applied during that time. Their presence alone was all that was required to provide some sense of calm in a very turbulent situation. Our local communities have also protested. And I got to tell you, not only respect peaceful protest, we encourage that. Our entire system is built around people having a voice. And our protesters are the way, frankly, I think they should go. They're angry, they're upset, absolutely, but they're also peaceful and, frankly, respectful to my deputy sheriffs who are out there interacting with them. They've been met with largely some degree of appreciation, and they realize that we're there to keep the peace. We're not there to take sides. We're just there to keep the peace and keep the protesters safe and the community safe. It's been okay here in Placer County, and I commend our protesters for their behavior. And I'm also very proud of our response in handling them so things didn't escalate. There have been questions that have come in via web, and I think you guys received some phone calls as have I, about the sheriff's office and how we positioned for the future. I'll tell you, it all starts with hiring good people, and I'm going to commend the board at this point. You guys have provided us, made sure that the deputy sheriffs and, well, all of us, frankly, are appropriately compensated, which allows us to have a broad candidate pool, which allows us to be selective. I don't settle for mediocrity when we hire. We select the best that we can, and that only happens when we have a broad candidate pool. So I have to salute you for creating an environment where people come here and want to be a part of this. Some of it's culture, but we can't overlook some of its compensation as well. So thank you for that. It all starts, like I said, we hire character. We have a strenuous process where we test people. I can train skills all day long. If they didn't learn character from their parents, from their teachers, from their scoutmasters, from their church, we're in trouble. So we hire character, we train skills. So let's talk about that training. Specifically on the peace officer side, California peace officers are trained at the academy. They have training in implicit bias, racial profiling, cultural diversity, and community relations. That was less of a focus when I went through the academy 28 years ago. It is a part of every academy now. When they graduate the academy, they come to us and they join our field training program, FTO. It is again reinforced. What you learned in the academy, this is how it applies here in Placer County. So we reinforce it immediately upon training. And then advanced officer training is something that we do every year. And I'll tell you, we exceed all post mandates, and I'm proud of that. I don't view training as a bottom line encumbrance in a budget document. Training is an investment in my people, in their safety, their professionalism, and the safety of the community. So we exceed all of post training requirements, and we focus our attention on things. We have a frontline leadership program. That frontline program isn't for sergeants or lead dispatchers, it's for the front line, and they learn about principle-based decision-making and how character applies to leadership. We have ongoing ethics training. We bring in subject matter experts like Jack Enter to reinforce the importance of ethics and character in decision-making. We were the first agency in Northern California that not only did we send our people to the Museum of Tolerance in Los Angeles to learn about implicit bias, we brought the instructors here and trained all staff twice. And obviously, in today's climate, de-escalation is absolutely a focal point of everything that we train. So I think we're well positioned. I'm very proud of the job that our team does. I recognize we police our community not because we have badges or not because it's mandated in the penal or government code. We are able to police our community because we have the consent of the community that we serve. And that community consent is built on trust and it's built on relationship. We know that. We work very hard at it. And we also recognize it's fragile if it's abused. And we focus on maintaining that relationship. So it's just kind of a snapshot. I can tell you prospectively, we've got some challenging times in front of us. It's absolutely undeniable and frankly unprecedented in my experience. But I'm confident in the men and women that I have working at the Sheriff's Office, in their selection, their character, and their training. That we'll be able to serve our community, all members, with dignity, courtesy, and respect. That's kind of the end of my update. I'd be happy to take any questions if you have them.
Thank you, Sheriff Bell. Appreciate that very much.